Thank you. That session certainly generated some constructive discussion. Now, Group 3, you haven't had a chance to speak yet in the afternoon session. Your volunteer spokesperson from Group 3, Pete, that's your mom. Who's going to be the volunteer spokesperson from your table? In relation to group racing. Sounds like a Defence Force volunteer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Peter Nugent, board member of Harness Racing New South Wales. A very contentious topic, because what we started out with was the discussion of even tonight's race here at Menangle Park. We have a regional championship worth $100,000. Is a 70 rated horse a genuine Group 1 horse? The thing is, our prize money has increased, and we've heard that it's been roughly around 20%. Should not then we consider as a possibility that our Group 1 figure also go up, not necessarily 20%, but probably more? The suggested amount for Group 1 from our table centred around a minimum $250,000 for a Group 1, $100,000 for Group 2, and a $50,000 for Group 3. And then you have, of course, the ability with every club in the state to put on feature races, such as, say, Dubbo with the Red Ochre, Parks with the Elvis, and so forth, those sorts of races. But look, it is a contentious issue. But what I think the biggest thing is, we have to, look, everyone aspires to win the Inter-Dominion, the Miracle Mile, chariots, and I apologise to those from interstate that I haven't mentioned some of your features. But the thing is, do we downgrade the value of those particular races by having, say, a regional championship for a 70 rated horse, a Group 1? And that's where it lies at the moment with our table.
And a common theme of the discussion across the room, Pete, I must say. Any other group or table like to add comment? Okay, Alex, and then Jeff, and then Andrew. It's 3 people.
Thanks very much. Look, firstly, I'll just speak on behalf of Jackie Gibson, who couldn't be here today, and this is a heartfelt issue of hers, and particularly about Club Menangle, that Jack's view, and it's one I share, is that there are too many Group 3 races in New South Wales, and it devalues the intention of a Group 3 race. That said, that's not to devalue the horse itself that wins that race, but the question is whether 90-odd Group 3 races in this state is a fair indication of where that mare might, or that horse might rank as a broodmare. There are a couple of issues. We had a fairly contentious debate at our table. It was 9 versus Rob Nalder. So I'm not sure whether I'm speaking for the group myself or against Rob Nalder, but we'll take it that way. Our view was that, and we had a debate about whether it's 50,000, 100,000 or whatever, isn't it really about where you see the value of that particular race in the state program and in the national program? What do you see as what is the reason you're trying to achieve the outcome of a particular level? So is it a dollar value? Is it not a dollar value? Is it the number of races? Is it in the conditions you put or establish for a group race? And there's no right answer to that. But it's one you need to think about. And there's another part of the equation that is really important. By just having a dollar value, you make less opportunity for the smaller states. And I think that is critical in the equation. You can't penalise Tasmania, South Australia or anyone else because they don't have the dollars to make a $150,000 race or whatever. I think if I've got the table's views right, rather than set a dollar value or whatever, our recommendation would be that HRNSW with HRA think about a fairer way of determining what is a group race, where it fits in the national calendar, where it sits in the state calendar. And we can't get confused with a premium race here of a Saturday night where the club puts in $30,000 and the industry gets an extra percent out of the turnover. So I'll just leave you with that, but I think you have to be cognizant of what those smaller states have available to them to create group races. So I hope I've got that right, Rob. And I can speak honestly about that because we did win a Group 1 race last year, and we had it last week, and we did have a debate at my table as to whether that was in fact a Group 1 race, given that it was limited to handicap 70. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Jeff Barnes again. Group racing, in my opinion, is a window dressing of the industry. So therefore, what Alex just said, yes, years ago in 2013, when this was addressed, the South Australian, the Tasmanian, Derby and Oaks they're nothing races. And my contend that always that premier race, the 3-year-old race, should be a Group 1 race. I don't care if they race for $10,000. That should be a Group 1 race. And I will be putting a paper to HRA to make it so, like when that was brought in 2013, all derbies and Oaks races were. If you think around the world, the best race is for the 3-year-olds. In America, it's the Meadowlands Space and the Hamiltonian. Best races you'll ever see or go to. So I think we're window dressing the industry. Anything that we can put gold paint on, put it on as much as you can, because that's the future of the industry. You're making it look better.
Thanks, Jim. Andrew, you right? You were covered? Yeah, okay, good. All right. Please, folks, with this collection of ideas and thoughts, make sure you're putting them down on that afternoon sheet in the section in relation to for what we've talked about with group racing and what we've talked about with trotters and what we've talked about with fillies and mares races. We really need you to collect and collate those thoughts. Next up, Colonial Stallions. Darren Ray's here to give us his wisdom on Colonial Stallions. The floor is yours, Mr. Ray.
Yeah, Darren from Madawi Lodge. I'll be very short. We've come a long way with the colonial size, you know, from back when old Classic Gary and then Cullen and Courage has come through now to where we're seeing a lot more colonial size being used and a lot more being, you know, well presented in the marketplace as well. As we do both at home, we do colonial and I do outside mares at home to other stallions. I asked the people why they went to that size for, and why didn't you go to a colonial horse and stuff like that. A few of the responses, they didn't race old enough, didn't win a Miracle Mile, didn't win a Dominion, but they'll go to a sire from the States who was only raced as a 3- and 4-year-old. And you say that to them and they say, well, yeah, I've got nothing. You know, so is our money for the older horses too much? You know, should we bring that down to your 3- and 4-year-olds where the sire wins enough money to, you know, so he doesn't have to race as an older horse. So he doesn't have to go through it on a 6- and 7-year-old and get beat, you know, as an older horse by an up-and-coming younger horse. Yeah, because when the older horses come through, you see the slumps, you know, the form slumps here in Australia where they'll get beat here at Menangle. But, you know, from American side, we don't see that form slump in America because, you know, studs won't let you see it. You'd have to go through and find out, you know, where they had that form slump. Another one is people have a bit of conception on who trained the horse here in Australia or New Zealand. They won't go to such and such horse because it was trained by so-and-so, but how many people know who trained Better Delight or Umbra Operative? You know, were they an informed barn at the time? You know, people just, you know, shy off them horses and won't breed to them. So, yeah.
Last one before a break. As a table, challenges for Colonial Stallions, how best to meet them. Again, timekeepers, you have 7 minutes. I have a time of 25 past 2. Let's get together again at 25 to 3, okay? Allowing for people to get organised. That's 10 minutes. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. The group that was due to be nominated to talk about Colonial Stallion said everything's okay. Group 2. They couldn't see a problem with it. Everything's fine. So do I have it? Someone would like to get up and make a comment on the discussion on Colonial Stallions, or are we all comfortable that everything's pretty nice and fine? Anyone see challenges or things that can be done, things that can be improved? Oh, here we go. Mr. Nalder.
Thank you. First of all, I've got to give HRNSW a big rap for what they've done trying to get the Colonial Stallions recognised. Without a doubt, it's been the leading state on trying to generate our own studs, and for that I do give them an enormous rap. The acceptance of the Colonial Stallion is just not here, it's not with us, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, that's just the way it is. The only way I can see, and we'll wait until the last segment, I believe that we've got to find a way to allow the Colonial Stallion to get some quality mares, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And other than that, I can't say too much more, other than the Colonial bonus has been, you know, a great incentive for the hobbyist type breeder. The 80% of breeders are tied to breed and race their own. That's been put to good use. I think you'll find most of them go into the pay-ups probably for the Breeders' Challenge. And the other thing I do want to say a big rap while I can is to Menangle on the Blue Series. Without a doubt, that for people that don't know, I think it's still all funded by Menangle, or the greater part. And that has been a tremendous plus for the Colonial Stallion. It's giving us opportunities to go forward. But yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Rob. Any other comment, question? All right, don't forget to fill those forms in, folks. What we're going to do, you've got fresh air out here or fresh air out there. We're going to give you a 15-minute stretch. We're going to get you back in here. I now have 20 to 3. We're going to get you back in here ready to go right on 3 o'clock, please. 3 o'clock, back here ready to go. 3 more presentations. Want to psych yourself up for the presentations. Daniel Cordina is going to hit you with his ideas on ownership, partnership, syndicates and fractional. Flora Robson's going to hit you with her ideas on mares, incentive schemes, breeding credit schemes, and Rob Nalder on multiple season breedings. 3 fairly solid sessions coming up. 3 o'clock start. Thank you. Thank you. We'll get underway. Firstly, I just should mention, probably should have mentioned at the start of the day, but the very last thing we do this afternoon, and you need to be in the room, is there will be a draw for a $3,000 bonus certificate available only to the people in the room. So keep that in mind. Yeah, when you saw that John and I were finishing the program, you might have been a bit tempted to duck away. Don't. It's only 10 or 15 minutes of your life and a chance to win up that bonus. Rightio. Thank you. Thank you. The next group of presentations, basically, we asked people to put a few thoughts together, put it out to the group. And so we've got Daniel Cordina, Flora Robson and Rob Nalder are going to be doing that. What we'll do is we'll get Daniel up and he's going to talk about ownership, partnership, syndicates and fractional. We'll open the floor to direct questions to Daniel, but also we're going to get the groups just to kick it around for a few minutes and see if there's an observation or a comment you have, and there's space to record that on your sheet as well, and if you want to put it up to do it. I think there'll be a fair bit of interest in all of the three topics that will be covered. Daniel, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Daniel Cordina. I'm talking about the fractional ownership. I have been a part of the fractional ownership since March 2019 which was established by Anthony McDonald from Canada when he came to Australia. Fractional ownership model is designed to deliver a unique, fun and engaging experience in easy, affordable format that allows you to buy as little as 1% of the racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. You might make money, but if it's that your primary motivation, we're not for you. Fractional ownership makes standardbred racehorse ownership easy, accessible and affordable. How it works. Say a trainer or syndicate manager purchases a yearling, sale, say 30,000 as a round figure. The trainer can syndicate it and offer out as little as 1, 5 or 10% shares, or even 20%, or it depends on what you want to sell it as, or what the person can afford to buy. Two ways we looked at selling is the purchase fee of say 30 plus the pay up fee, say 35,000 round figures. That works out to about $350 per horse. And then you got probably a monthly expense, depending on training or breaking in or spelling, roughly around about $20 to $30 a month. Or secondly, you can either purchase a horse for $35,000, add say a rough figure of $12,000 cost to the running of the horse for 12 months, and then syndicate that horse for $47,000 at $470 per share, and with nothing to pay for 12 months, which probably when giving it to a first-time owner, I think it looks quite reasonable if they don't have to put their hand in their pocket for 12 months. All horses should be paid up for feature races. Will be paid up for feature races. What do you get for return on investment? Entertainment, communication from the trainer, and access to the horse as well as the trainer, and prize money. It is not to make money, but to be part of a potential winning team and having fun conversation piece around the table, and to make you believe again in dreaming. Why fractional ownership syndicates? With the way the industry is going, with breeders not breeding as many horses due to the rising cost of standing the mares, owners are falling by the wayside again due to cost. Also, ageing population of the owners. There needs to be some sort of stimulus from the industry to get new owners and younger owners. Trainers now own as part of a lot of the horses racing today, and if that continues long term, it will be a slow death to the industry. Do trainers need to worry about their future? The short answer is yes. We need trainers, as they are the sellers of the horses, to be out there spruiking, call it what you want, but be selling themselves as the virtues of owning a racehorse. You don't do that. You want to be in the game for a very long time, and all trainers need owners. All trainers need new owners, so the ones that they can do something about. Just a little bit of history about the stable.ca, who I'm heavily involved with. Anthony McDonald's company, the stable.ca, was formed in 2015 on the belief we could attract everyday people to horse ownership in an affordable way by breaking ownership down to small percentages, sharing the cost while experiencing the 100% of the excitement. Entertainment now has many platforms and the dollar amount besides each one. Since the birth of social media, we have been able to attract more diverse audience to our game by simply showing them what we always had to offer. Building the stable.ca was born out of necessity. Both for my family and to show the shrinking industry, growth was needed, indeed possible. He was like trainers here, was not making ends meet, and he had to come up with a solution on how he could survive. So with the help of his wife Amy, they started the stable.ca. Most trainers in the US, most trainers racing today have approximately 10, most trainers today have approximately 10 owners or more, owners in their bun. Over the past decades, we've seen stables shrink, farms close, and our industry left trying to figure out why. Racetrack clubs believe they are built solely for gambling, and horsemen believe they only train horses. They are both half right. The ship of the horse racing has been slowly sinking because we've never learned to work together. So true. Part one, who are we? This is Anthony McDonald saying all this. Who are we? Intrepid distributors, meaning a company or form of technology that causes radical change in the existing industry or market by means of innovation. How it started. How did he do it? Started knocking on mainstream doors. What he did was he went into politics for a couple of years, and part of his thing as a politician over there is knock on doors and on everyday people. And what he did was, while he was out there talking to people about the politics, he was also talking to people about harness racing at the same time. And that's where he got the notion of starting the syndicates with 1% and 2%, because a lot of the people that he was talking to, the everyday mums and dads and the everyday Joes, had disposable income, and then they were interested in owning, being part of the ownership. Why it started, adapt or die, means that basically if he done it, if he didn't start it and didn't change his methods, he was going to be out of the industry. The truth, how and why it works, the truth about return of investment of 1%. Part 3, what we are achieving. Owners of 1% having 100% enjoyment, and where we are headed, industry revolution. Many people didn't believe that it was possible. We have shown that the horses racing industry was undervalued its own entertainment value. And in less than 6 years, we have proven this at the stable.ca. What once was a theory has turned into the largest racing stable in Canada and the fastest growing harness racing syndicate on the planet. We have horses in 2 hemispheres and over 900 clients from 13 countries and that own them with us, and we've only just got started. Since the inception of the stable.ca, by 2019, from 2015 to 2019, he's had 140 horses, 72-year-olds, 55 3-year-olds, 14 aged horses, with a total of 627 clients in 4 years. Those clients are 1% ownership to 100% ownership in 11 countries and racing both in Canada and the US. Today, with a similar amount of horses, because he buys every year and he turns over horses every year, he now has 900 clients, 15 countries, and racing in three areas: Canada, USA, and now in Australia. Owners own an average of 4 by 1% shares, and roughly a cost of rent $25 to $30 for 1% share per month. This is my experience with the stable, because I started in 2019. My experience with the stable is that I started with 2 horses in Sydney, and I also purchased 1% share of 2 horses in Canada. The 2 horses in Sydney was Rockin' Down Under, who's racing tonight on Tuesday, I think, in Queensland, and also Girl from Moz, who's racing tonight. Now, we've been lucky with Girl from Moz. She won the Pink Bonnet first up for us, basically, and it's proved that, you know, being a 1% share or 5% share in a horse is you know, it's viable. I am not doing it for the money. I have purchased horses. I've got nearly 30 odd horses in Canada at the moment, and I only own 1 or 2 or maybe 3% of horses. I don't own. If you add them all together, it's probably the value of 2 horses. But I have horses racing at Mohawk when it's on, Pennsylvania, the Meadows, Yonkers, Meadowlands, everywhere, and I have won races on all the tracks. I can say that I've had a winner at all these tracks, even though I own maybe 1 or 2%. It still gives me a thrill. It still gives me a thrill that I can get up on the laptop and watch the races either live through the tab or watch the replays the next day. I'm not doing it for the money. I have done it for the enjoyment of owning the horses. I have won a couple of $100,000 races there, and won multiple races, as I said, in Toronto, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, to name a few. I have watched all these wins. I get feedback from Anthony. This is the most important thing. I get feedback from Anthony every day of the week, if not every second day. I know what every one of the horses is doing, and he'll give us an update on the results. So I'm quite happy to invest in Canada. He has an opening blog on his website that could go for 40 minutes. And he will tell you what every horse has done, how he butchered a drive on this horse, and how he done this and how he done that, and whatever. And it's a great insight. And if you get onto Anthony McDonald's website, thestable.ca, you get all these, and it's terrific. It's up to the trainers to take it on if they want to survive in the main things that they need to do. 1, transparency. 2, open days at the stables for the old and new owners. I think it's very important to get all the owners together and see who are the other owners of the horses in the stable, who's who in the zoo. Arrange dinner packages for owners on big race nights for all to enjoy. So if you've got a horse in a big race or a horse in a race, the trainer can organise a function, you know, but the last three is the most important thing. Communication, number 4, communication, number 5, and communication, number 6. You don't have the communication, you will not get, it won't work. And finally, just the cost of maybe owning a racehorse or the cost of a racehorse, it works out to less than 1 packet of cigarettes per month for a 1% share of a horse. Thank you.
I've got a quick question for you. You've owned horses outright that have won big races, owned the full share, 100%, but you've also horses that you've owned 1%. The difference in feeling?
Obviously, there's a difference in feeling. You know, look, I won a Group 1 here with Charleville a couple of years ago, and that was the greatest night of my life. But knowing that I had a horse that won in a $100,000 race in Canada, or I think it was in Pennsylvania, it was great. You know, I loved it. You know, even though I only had 1% share of the horse, it was the feeling was great. You know, so you know, there's a lot. Depends on the person. Yep. You know, but it's up there. Yeah, most definitely.
Any question or comment of Daniel? Yeah. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make that comparison. Yeah. So Daniel's one of the big ones. Yeah. Comment? Yep. Yeah, just pick up the live stream, mate, that's all.
Hi guys, for those who don't know me, I'm Brendan Mickliff. 9 months ago I started BPM Bloodstock. During COVID, lost my job, and so decided to start it. For those who know my dad, Paul Mickliff, he's been around for a while. So I just wanted to, I suppose, share my experience quickly. I've got 5 horses here now. I've purchased them all from New Zealand. And the big thing is people want to buy today and race tomorrow. So we're able to get the horse across and get it running straight away. Similar to what Daniel just said, I add the first month's bill training to the cost price, and so that way there's no bills, and generally the horse is racing within a month, 6 weeks, and so the horse is racing and earning prize money, and hopefully, touch wood, they don't have anything to pay. The thing, I think the biggest thing is that we move forward with the times, and again, similar to what Daniel said, I've got owners that own from 2.5% to 50% of the horses. And I suppose the biggest thing is, and again, it's close to reiterating, is transparency is everything. A part of the reason I started this is because I was a part of syndication with a trainer, and I was getting emails once a month. I wasn't getting updates on races, what it was doing, and what was happening. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people actually with me have come across either from the gallops, from other trotters, even some greyhound owners, because there was no transparency and no communication. And that's, I suppose, the biggest thing. I send an email pre and post race. We got WhatsApp groups. We got messages and photos going around and videos. And I've got 56 shares in all 5 horses and only 29 owners. So there's already each person is averaging 2 horses. And I've got another 3 owners already ready for the next horse. So I think the biggest thing with this is moving forward with the times and actually making sure that whoever's managing it, whether it's the trainer, myself, or whoever it is, needs to make sure that 1, it's being promoted, and 2, there's a transparency in the communication there. The one that we've got racing tonight, Chubby Checker, he's been phenomenal, and everyone's gotten around it. And from that, I've had people on my socials message me and ask me to buy them a horse like that, and I mean, of course they want a horse like that, and I wish it was easier said than done, but you know, getting the social side of thing going, the social medias and that side of thing going has been huge for me, and website's about to be launched next week, so that kind of side of things has been great, and trying to get younger owners involved has been really good on socials as well, because, you know, I've got mates who will share posts and whatnot, and that side of things has been really good. So, so I definitely think it's the way forward, and I think if we get some more people around it, then it could be really successful and help the sport in the future.
Clearly a well-supported idea. Flora, you're up. I know Flora's really looking forward to this. Said she'd rather face a firing squad than public speak, but we haven't got any guns for you. Flora's going to talk about mayor's incentive schemes. Yep, breeding credit schemes as well. Flora, all yours.
Thank you. Flora Robson from Harness Breeders, New South Wales. Our committee strongly believe that we do need a national mayor's credit system. This will encourage owners to breed their mares, people to go to the sales and buy their mares, fillies, to race on. The system we're looking at is very closely aligned to the ASBAR 2011 and 17 system that was put forward, that credits are awarded when a filly qualifies to race. It should be for a set period, which was nominated to be 3 years. Credits awarded for each start a filly or mare has within the eligible time frame. Credits apply for each win a filly or mare has within the eligible time frame. There has to be a time established, a cap on how long that will last for, as I said, 3 years. A recent survey from ASBAR showed that 57.2% supported the National Mares Scheme, and 83% said that if this National Mares Credit System was introduced, then they certainly would race mares and fillies. It adds to the mare's value after she finishes her racing career. And I think the other most important thing at the moment is to get alternatist legalised to race our fillies and mares for a plethora of reasons. I know John and the board are fed up hearing me banging on about alternatist, but it really is a game changer in our racing system for fillies and mares. If you want to take a comparison, if you get a naughty colt, what do? You geld him. What does that do? Take away his hormones, and he races on a far more even keel. It's the same with fillies and mares. If you can get her to race on an even keel, people will buy her and later on breed her. And that's about all I've got to say. And if anyone says, you know, we're pushing mediocrity, then if you look at the stats, 28% of mares published in the stud book have never won a race, and a further 27% of those published in the stud book have also not really been successful on the track. That's all I've got to say on that. Thank you.
Any question or comment to Flora? Okay. Well, good. Mr. Nalder. You told me when you looked at the program, you said clearly they've saved the best till last.
He's done this to stop me leaving. Okay, I'll just ask everyone, when I was talking to John about today and the forum, he asked me if I could come up with something that was a little, that I thought would stimulate and help the Colonial Stallions. Well, I'd like everybody to stop and think before they say no. I'd like to see implemented a system that allowed a Colonial Stallion mare being bred to it to have 2 foals that year, either 2 embryos, or don't both have to be to the Colonial Stallion. You can have, so long as one of them is to a Colonial Stallion, then you're allowed to breed 2 foals that year. Obviously one by embryo, and the other can be either natural or by embryo. Now, the advantages, I'll just talk about the advantages. I cannot think of any negatives whatsoever other than the registration side of the foal. But if the dogs get away with multiple litters a year, I can't see why the industry can't get away with more than one offspring for that year. The benefits that I see to the industry is, one, it's going to give the Colonial Stallion the opportunity to get a quality mare that he would not necessarily get to, but this would allow the stallion to get that quality mare. To the mare owner, you've got another means of income that is only going to add strength to whether you decide to keep the mare and breed from her, or whether you decide to sell her and let somebody else do that. To mares that have finished racing and may not necessarily have a great, it's a really important part and something that HRNSW are working extremely hard with, trying to find after racing what happens with our foals and mares as they get older. This would allow another opportunity for surrogates to become part of a breeding program that will only help and sustain what they do and contribute to our sport. That's really all I've got to say, other than I cannot stress enough, the Colonial Stallions, the top quality, are bred to the American lines. They just need I'm convinced they just need the opportunity to get some quality mares, and they will produce quality offspring. Eventually, you're going to have the opportunity of, whether you've got a Captain Courageous, which is doing a sensational job, you may choose to breed one to him and one, Tiger Tara, any other colonial bred stallion. It's going to give you the opportunity to see when those two foals become racehorses. Hopefully the Tiger outperforms the other, will only add to the benefit of the colonial importance of the breed. But that's pretty much all I've got to say, other than I cannot honestly, other than the registrar, find any negative to do with it.
Okay. 5 minutes at the table with Flora's suggestion and Rob's suggestion. Please, if you would, just as groups, what you see is the bonuses and what you see is the challenges. That's all. We want to get that as part of the conversation. A chair, a timekeeper, a spokesperson, and a scribe. John? A lot of solid conversation in the room, so I'm going to leave it run for another couple of minutes yet. You guys right? Okay, thank you. Nearly there, folks. We're getting there. Don't forget, we've got the $3,000 draw shortly, so don't duck away too early. Rightio. Comment, question on Flora's presentation? Any group want to make a comment or lead the discussion on that? There was plenty said on this table. Would someone like to volunteer and say what you talked about? Okay, let's do this democratically. All in favour of Beck, say aye. Very well. Thanks, Beck.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca. I've drawn the short straw here. So with breeding credit scheme, the general consensus was that if we believed that if we were programming more mares races more often, it would alleviate the issue, and we wouldn't need to have a scheme like this. And with the last point, everyone just said no. There was no discussion. We couldn't get anyone to alleviate anything else. They just flat out no. So yes, the embryo transfer. Yep.
Any other question or comment in relation to Flora or to Rob's idea? There was a fair bit of discussion here. Phil, thank you. Yep. Open the batting and close the batting.
Thank you. Yeah, well, this is an interesting one for us. I can just share with you a couple of personal experiences that we have had in regard to ETs, embryo transfers. Firstly, one was that about 7, 8, might have even been 9 years ago, we actually had 2 embryos taken from one of our mares. This is working in cooperation with Angus McKinnon at the time. And those embryos were technically twins, and they were put in separate mares. So we basically had two mares that had foals pretty much at the same time. One was a colt, one was a filly. They were born basically within a day of each other. And of course we were very excited because they were both by Bettor's Delight. They were both beautiful foals, well grown. We of course then approached Harness Racing New South Wales, and of course we tested the rule. The rule was that we couldn't register both of them, but we went to bat with Angus's support. We got evidence and proof from the United States that they were technically twins. But in the end, we were only able to register one of them. We had to choose one. So, and we chose the colt. The colt is still racing today, called For the Better, and he's been very successful. Unfortunately, the filly that we obviously had to put in the paddock, she died prematurely from a snake bite. But anyway, for us at the time, it looked like it was something that was really worth pursuing. But in terms of, what Rob was saying, I don't know that personally we could support that. I think there are a lot of issues about, trying to breed two foals from the one mare in the 1 year. But we've got a lot. I think embryo transfer has a lot going for it, and it's certainly something that we need to look at very seriously in the future.
Any other comment from any of the groups? All right, just before we hand over to John to wind us up, I didn't give enough time to Daniel and Brendan's idea, and it seems fabulous. It just seems to make sense. I'm an outsider looking into this, and I'm listening to what Daniel says about 1%. And I agree with you. I had 2.5% of a thoroughbred once, and it was just sensational. It was really, really good. Had a lot of luck with it, and the difference wasn't a great deal to one I owned 20% of a standard bred that won quite a few races as well, in terms of enjoyment. So, as an open forum question, as an industry, it seems like it's a great idea to try and get more people involved, as you were saying, Brendan, more young people involved, more people along to the races, more people engaged. What do we need to do to promote this idea of broader ownership, broader participation? We've got some really good minds in this room. I want to put that out there. Yep, Jeff?
If you look at the model that was used in Auckland, and you're talking about horses like Changeover and the multiple successes, and if you saw the races and there was 100 people on the track, it's certainly a great way, and I encourage all clubs to try and get members of their clubs to run a syndicate, and with a little bit of luck and good guidance, it's got to be successful.
Yep. Any other thoughts on, like, yep. Thank you.
So my background outside of harness racing, I'm an ex-golf pro. So I played in Europe for a while, and the best way to approach and get people involved in your sport is marketing. Now you need to, the people that are members of your clubs are already in. They've paid their money, they've got their ticket, they're here ready to go. What we need to attract is the people that these other schemes attract. And the way we need to do that is make it a value proposition. So our young people today have a lot less money than we do because they want a lot of things for a little bit of money. So that 1%, 5%, 20% is where they need to be. So we need different people to associate with our trainers and our administrators to market that it's not very dear, it doesn't cost a lot to have a lot of fun. And if we have that fun and we have that little bit of, we all know the feeling when they're 3 wide coming hard down. When we have that feeling, it's going to attract that people to our sport. And that's really what we want to do. Make it cost effective, make it shiny and new, and use all of our multimedia that's available now. Instagram, TikTok, all the other bits and pieces. So we need to approach all of the modern technology, all of our multimedia, but also make it a value proposition. And if we can make it sound as though it's cheap enough, none of us are in this industry to make money really, because we do it for the love of it. If we make money, well and good, and that's what we need to do. We want to have that feeling that we have of the love of the industry, and I think that's the way forward. Thanks, Grant.
Any other, I know it's the end of a long day, but Daniel, I was talking to you and you said it's also encouraging trainers to be more active, or providing them with the skills to be more active. You thought that was something that needs a bit of attention.
I think the problem here in New South Wales is the trainers don't get off their backside and sell themselves. That is the biggest problem. You know, I know of trainers don't know how to use a telephone. I know one trainer, he's an Inter-Dominion winning trainer driver, actually told my father one time, I'm not paid to talk to owners. Now, if that's the attitude that trainers give to the owners of the racehorses, well, either the owners don't bother and don't buy horses, or the trainers should get out of business. Because I think the trainers need to sell themselves. They need to go out there and talk to people. A lot of the horses that are trained here in New South Wales are owned by the trainers. That is and the industry can't sustain that. The industry can't sustain it. Look, we bought Rockin' Down Under with Anthony McDonald two years ago. We got 4 owners that own 2.5%. They've had more fun with that horse than I had with Charleville when we won the thing, and they've only owned 2.5%, and they want to race here at Menangle, and they want to race at Bathurst, or whatever the case may be. They love it. I got friends of mine that bought into a horse. Into the last 3 yearlings that we bought, they only bought 1%, and that one's a plumber and one's my next door neighbour, and never seen a horse before in their life. Because I asked them, oh yeah, how much is it? $800 for the 3 horses. Oh yeah, okay, that's nothing, that's no problem. I sold 3 1% shares, and now one of them's gone ahead and bought 10% in another horse. Because you've been open with the people. You know, you give them to trainers that will talk to you. You've got to give them to, you know, it's no good giving them to trainers that they'll just train the horses and not speak. You know, that is the biggest issue. The trainers do themselves more harm than good, because they are the key people in the industry to sell horses to owners. They are the key people. And as I said, if they don't get off their backsides and go with the times, they're going to get nowhere.
Thanks. Yep, last one.
I just think with that, the biggest thing is, and I've dealt with a few trainers now, I don't know if, and with all due respect to the trainers, they actually know how to do that a lot of the time. And I think that's where I don't know, like I'm managing myself, so I speak to the trainers and then communicate with the rest of the owners, whether there needs to be education for the trainers so they can do that better. That might be a big thing. Otherwise, like, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is because a couple of trainers I've been with, some of them I've had to say, look, if I'm going to stay with you, I really need you to, I need 2 calls a week, one before a race, one after a race. That's it. I need 5 minutes of your time. You don't have to deal with any of the other owners. I'll do with them, but it's got to be something. And I just don't think they understand that side of things. So, yeah.
Thank you. I liked your point, Daniel. Points 4, 5 and 6, communication, communication, communication. You're paying your money, you want to have some fun with it. Pretty simple. Yep. Rightio, folks. You've seen enough of me. Thank you. Give us 2 minutes to finish up. Yep. No, that's all right. I'm not asking you to come up and talk. I'm waiting until you're done. You right? Okay. From my perspective, thanks for your time today. When we first sat down to put the program together, we had some lengthy discussions about the best way to try and get people engaged, exchanging ideas, collecting them. And the key to it now is what's next. All right? I've really enjoyed today and I've had the opportunity to move around the tables and listen to the different ideas that people are putting out, and there were things that really impressed me. The wantingness of everyone in this room to make this industry better. That's why you're here. That's why you give up your Saturday. You've got so many demands on your time and so many if you've travelled so far. You're a Monday? Will we close? No. Okay, yeah, just out of Wagga. How's that? Yeah. Anyone who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drives from Wagga? And Craig, did you travel down last night as well? Yeah, okay. Here's to you, the people who've made that effort. Anyone who's come and the distances you've come to be here, it's really valued and valuable. The key though now is what's next, and that's how John Dumacy's going to finish, and then tell you what happens next, and then we're going to do a draw, and we're going to give away a $3,000 bonus. And those of you who've already sold it to a breeder, nah, not going to happen.
Yeah, these ones are, I've heard a little bit about the black market while I've been sitting here today, but no, we'd like whoever wins it to use it. But on behalf of the board and the management, I sincerely thank you all for your attendance and your contribution today. And on behalf of the wider industry, I thank you for your input as well, your commitment to coming here today and contributing to what can only be better. I hope you've made new acquaintances, perhaps even friends today, and please complete those forms. Those forms are very important to us. Chris Gray has been engaged specifically. He will have the forms as well, and we'll collate together for the board a report that covers everything. So, yes, they won't come back to John Dumacy to do whatever he does with forms, and some of you have told me what I should do with forms. But anyway, that doesn't matter. We will be working on these. We have an ambition to move forward on initiatives which are in the best interest of the industry at large. So, yes, we all have different ideas. I sat on this table, I sat on this table, I heard from that table up the back there. They all had different views, and this table did. But we'll find out what is in the best instance to do it. Now, we'll move forward on those. We'll move forward on them as what are in the best interest as soon as practical. Some of these may not be instantaneous. Rob Nalder's gone. We all have a different opinion on him, but on his proposal, but maybe we'll flush it out a little bit more. It's against the international rules of breeding. It's against the national rules of breeding. And Philip gave us a story there, quite controversial, what Rob put forward. Flora's got an idea on how we do it. And as far as ownership's concerned, Daniel's put his money where his thoughts are, and that is with getting more owners. And Brendan, you also, but everyone has contributed today. I would like to thank, in particular, the staff of Harness Racing New South Wales who have put this together. There's a lot of work in, as you see in front of you, pulling the stats together, making sure those stats mean something to you and for you to take home. I really would like to thank Chris for his contribution. He's an outsider, but he's an absolute insider when it comes to harness racing. He's been around for a hell of a long time. You heard his resume earlier. He continues to work at Bathurst. He was the marketing manager at Harness Racing New South Wales for some time. Now, Katie over there is loading. Yes, if anyone that went home, bad luck them. Kate will hit the button. We'll find out who won that $3,000 Breeders' Challenge certificate. If you deal in cash, well, you might be able to buy it. Who won it, Katie? Flora. Well, there you go, Flora. It was worth coming. Tonight, finally, have an enjoyable night in the Chairman's Lounge. Cheer on the winner of the TAB Regional State Championship Final. Last year it started. It's still in its infancy. Next year we'll even go better with this championship. Despite what Alex said about it's only a 70 rater, it'll be a Group 1 winner tonight. And what's more, they'll be taking home a fair swag of money. Take those hats that are on the table. We have our sponsors with us tonight. Tabcorp, we've been so fortunate that off the success of last year and some really good negotiations, the money that they sponsor us was extended for another 5 years. So we've got about another 8 years, 7 or 8 years in the running of the TAB Regional Championship. So once again, thank you all. Board members, Ken, Peter and Peter, they're here today and they've heard you very clearly on what you've said. They have to go back now and make some decisions, but that won't be until we pull it all together, but it will happen. If you think you come here today for nothing, you have not. We will put in place what is in the best interest for the entire industry. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.